Hey guys, a couple of you have been asking me about getting some help on OneNote. So I thought I would just do a quick video on how to first set up your class. And that way you can pause and look at it and then do it as you want, and it would be easier and kind of be a record for that. So if it's helpful, great. If it's not, you can just ignore it. So what I'm going to do is you're basically going to go and open on your computer the OneNote for Windows 10. Which is this one right here. I also went ahead and have it down at the bottom of my screen. And so you open that up, and of course it's going to open up for me two classes that I already have. Now, there's two types of notebooks in OneNote. There's ones that live only on your computer that only you have access to, and then there are ones that live on like the internet. It's on your computer, but it's accessible by the students through the internet. And those are called class notebooks. And that's what you want to create for your students to have access to the notebook. So I'm going to click on class notebook. And then one of the options here, there are different things that you can do. You'll notice here at the top, there is a distribute page. That has to do, like if I want to send a homework document to them to work on, I would distribute a page to them. You can set up a whole section and you can distribute the section to the students. You can just copy to content library. Suppose there's a teacher only section, so you can work on things on your side and then you can just copy it to the content library, and that's going to be kind of nice. This review student work is kind of nice because if you have disseminated a homework page to them, and what you'll see down here is each of the students have their own folder, and I don't want to have to click each kid to then find the document that I want to grade. But if you have disseminated a homework assignment to them and they have put their answers in that area or on that page, either by uploading a snapshot of the work on their paper, which is probably the easiest thing to do, then you can do review student work, and you can just, it will like speed grade you through just that one document. So you can just click through all the students that you have very quickly and grade that document for them. Now what you're going to do to create your class right here is create class notebook. For a little bit later, for some things that I'm going to show you, when you create the class notebook, you can add teachers to it, you can add students to it when you create it, or you can do it later. These are the buttons if you're going to do it later, and I might wait on when I'm creating it to do it later because I don't want to add students into my classes just yet. And then this is a manage notebooks where you would go to turn things on and off when you manage your notebook. So I'm going to click on this, create notebook, and sometimes it'll feel like nothing is happening, like I clicked it and nothing happened. But look down here where my internet is now flashing at me. It basically is an internet page that opens up. So you click on that, and this should be the page that it takes you to. So what's the name of your class? So you would create, like this is 2020 VCU Math, 2020 VCU Math 200. So I could create that, just name your class. As you're going through this, they're just telling you what are the options that you have. So you have your collaboration space that you can work together in. If you'll see in, say, this notebook right here, up at the top, the collaboration space is where you would do some of your group work activities. So this is an example, and you can always reduce this down by clicking up here, right? And so we did a M&M Data Lab activity, you're familiar with that, in pre-calc. And then what the students did when they worked together is they then worked on it and they went to Desmos, they did some activities, they collected their data, gave me their data table, copied that in there, their Desmos graph, so that I could take a look and see what they did. So there's this collaboration space for group activities where all students have rights to edit and add to it. Then you have the content library right here, and anytime you want to close something, just click the arrow. Content library is only you and teachers can edit or add and move things around to it. But with this is kind of where all your content lives. If a student needs a file of some sort, and you can see here that I have sections, and then I have over here where I have put information. I've done different things. I'm not sure what I'm doing next year. In the pandemic, I did where I put like each day up what I was going to do. And then under that day, I had instructions. I had places for the videos that they were going to do. If there was a document, you can insert the document. And I'm scrolling up to the top. And see right here at the top, there's this little icon. If you right click that, students could always do save as and get their own copy of the document. And then you can write on, of course, what's down here. Sometimes I have blanks and then I have keys. And so there are different things that you can do for that. So that's your content library. In this year, I'll show you in my calc notebook, kind of as you're thinking about it, what I did when I was creating these. Last year, you'll see that all in 2019, I have a different notebook for every class. Now, for this year, what I'm looking at, and sometimes you'll notice, I think I just did something and I didn't tell you what I was doing, but let me cancel this real quick. Cancel. So here, there's a notebook that I want that I don't see here. Actually, it's right there. If you don't see a notebook in your list, you can go to more notebooks and then look for that in the list. If you still don't see it in the list, just in case this happens, all of your notebooks are living here on your OneDrive. And so there's a folder called Class Notebook. And so if there's a notebook that I can't seem to find anymore, once you've opened it, it'll stay where you're looking at it. And you can open and close notebooks to get rid of them. I'll eventually get rid of 2019. But if you open that folder on your OneDrive, here's all the notebooks that you have. And so you can then just double click on them. And so you'll see here that I'm still trying to plan for next year. And I started creating notebooks for each individual period. And then I decided that I think I'm going to go with one notebook for all periods. And I'll show you the difference in that while I'm here, because you kind of have to make that decision. So in this notebook, what I've done is in my content library, and it's not all set up, I just started, there's nothing really in it. I created a subgroup. So like when I'm here, and I just selected the content library, and then down here, and I just kind of right click, or actually right click down here where it says add section, and I added a new section group. And so I added 3 section groups here for each class, and then under each class, I'm going to have all of the items that I want them to have. So you can see that I've put the calendar and planner, which is going to be their first item. And then this is course syllabus and guidelines, you know, maintaining course stuff. And there's nothing in there yet. I just started putting subgroups in. So each of these items right here is a subgroup down here that I've added for my units. And then underneath of that, you can see that I started by, once I select this right here, you can add sections to it. So I can add a new section 2, you can rename them, you can go back and rename them later if you just right click, rename, and so on. So you can make your decision on what you want to do for that. I'm still pondering this, but I thought it might be better to have everything in one notebook that I'm working on. And so I have now 135 here. And then what I'll do is I'll create the course down here in the teacher only. You'll see I have the same subgroups down here. And then when I'm ready to push something out, I will distribute the section to each class. I will copy to content library. Like I'll do things like that from the teacher library, and I don't have to open multiple notebooks. So I thought this might be better. So just thought I would show you what I did last year versus kind of what I'm doing this year. All right, so coming back in here, so these are all the items that you have. Now this teacher only space, you may or may not see that. That's something that I did not know about, that I activated this sheet, like I just activated because I was watching some videos on it, and I'll show you how to do that. So next, you'll give another teacher permission to use it. Like I might choose to add John Walter to it. You don't have to. You can add them later. Like remember, if you go back in here and click class notebook, that's add teachers right there. Same thing with add students. Coming back into here, so I'm just gonna hit next. Add students, you can either add them now or you can add them later. And I would just copy and paste from when you do the email in PowerSchool Pro, just copy the student email addresses. I mean, you can also just type, like if I had a student, or like if I was looking for John Walter, just type John Walter and it'll pop up because it's hooked into our email system. So that's kind of easy for that. So you can copy and paste or do that. I'm not going to add any yet. You can decide what's in your student section. Like I'm not going to do a separate one for handouts. I'll probably do class notes, homework, quizzes, and tests. So that way you can disseminate things into different sections for them and makes it easier for you to grade things and find them. So I kind of set that up for them, what I want them to have. And then the teacher notebook, it kind of shows you what it's going to look like. And then you would just hit create on that. Okay. It may take it a few minutes. So just hit create, and then I'm going to pause and then come back in and show you what to do after you hit create. Okay, and like I said, if you don't see the notebook, so I basically am back into the OneNote just on my computer, and if you don't see this, which you probably won't initially, if you click the down arrow and click more notebooks, and then look for it in this list, if it's not showing up there, okay, which had happened to me kind of as I was doing this, then you'll go over here to where it lives in your folder here, find the one that you want to open. If you click it, it opens in the internet, okay, but I never edit it on the internet because it's very slow and kludgy. But once I have opened it on the internet, then when I come back over here and I go more notebooks, it will be in the list. So just giving you that option when you're looking at it. So when you get started, there's really not a lot in here. Now, if you don't see this teacher only right here, which I think is a very handy section, you're going to come over here to manage notebooks, click on that, and under the manage notebook, this teacher only section, it'll say enable or disable or something there. So there's a little button that you click to enable it, and I already did it for this one, so it's that. If you want to change your student sections, you can do that. If you want to lock the collaboration space, you can do that. If you don't want them to have access to it until you give them access to it, then you can do that. You can give certain students permission to view and edit those sections instead of everybody. Like you can make a group leader. I haven't tried this parent or guardian link, so that might be something interesting. And then if you ever just want to send a copy of this to somebody, you can do that and send them the link. So just thought I would show that there as well. Now, in my last like 2 or 3 minutes here in this video, just kind of showing you a couple of things. Like in your content, like starting down here, make sure you kind of have to, it's a little kludgy, you have to make sure you're clicked on something. This is some information on using it. If I want to create a subgroup down here, remember that I want to click here first to make sure I'm in the right section. And then I want to right click on this add section, and I want to make a new section group. So I'm going to do something similar to what I had before. So my new section group, and then I can right click and then rename it to whatever I want. So course, syllabus, and guidelines. All right, and then if you make sure that you're in that, and then when you go down here and just click add section, it will add a section underneath of that, and you can name that what you want, and so on. To do another subgroup, come back up, make sure you're clicking on this little one at the very beginning, and then when you go add section, new section group, it'll pop down here. If you're here and you do that, it doesn't work. You have to make sure you keep clicking back up there to add your new section group, name it as you want. Once you get it set up, then like each of these sections, you might need to create the section groups. I think I had to do that for all of mine. So both of my classes, I would create each of the section groups. Then I would take this and maybe distribute new section or distribute new section group to everybody. So, you know, different things that you might look at for that. Okay. So maybe if I just click right here, like I haven't tested this out yet because I haven't created anything. So if I'm on that and then I go distribute new section group, then it should distribute that to all my classes. I'm going to try that for this one. All right, so that's kind of the end of this video. That'll kind of get you started to start playing around with it. And you can kind of send me requests, and maybe I'll show you some things in a different video about creating and disseminating assignments to kids or card sorts or something like that. But this at least will get you started in setting up your classes. So, and if you have any questions, let me know.